How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to do some modifications on my Epiphone SG. This is my SG. I bought it back in 1997 from a coworker. Absolutely loved it. Since then, I've replaced the bridge to a rolling bridge, and I've replaced the tuners to locking tuners. You can see that. So now it stays in tune really good. But if I'm honest, I've never been crazy about the pickups. These are a set of Blizzard 59s from Bring Your Own Guitar. They're pretty good. They sound really good. But if I'm honest, I've always wanted Gibson pickups in it. So cut to the other day, I was watching a YouTube video by a guy named John Lawson. And he took his Epiphone SG and he went in and replaced the pickups to Gibsons, but he took it a step further and replaced all the potentiometers in it too to Gibson. So that kind of inspired me, and so I went on to Reverb, and I bought some pickups and I bought some potentiometers, and we're gonna give it a try. So we'll see how this goes. Now, it is worth noting, in John's video he talks about the pickup cavity and how it's, I'm sorry, not the pickup cavity, the potentiometer cavity, and how it's not big enough to fit the Gibson pickups and the Gibson potentiometers. So we will have to do some modifications to the body of the guitar, which kind of makes me nervous because I really like this guitar. This is like my #1 guitar. But I've replaced pickups before, and I've replaced other things before, and I'm pretty confident we can get it done. I'm just going to go really slow and make sure I don't make any mistakes, because I will be having to rat out this cavity, and I really don't want to go through the front of the guitar. But like I said, we're going to take it slow and see how it goes. And so yeah, that's about it. Okay, per John's advice, I went out to Harbor Freight and I got this rasp set. It's about $10. In John's video, I believe he used this one right here. So that's what we're going to be using. I also went out and got a round file. This is because the pickups don't, the potentiometers don't quite line up with the holes. So we are going to have to modify the holes a little bit, and that's where this is going to come in. As for the electronics themselves, I went on to Reverb. These are Gibson pickups. These are the 490T and the 490Rs. They come in a lot of the newer SGs. And as far as the electronics go, this is what makes it weird. The potentiometers are all on a circuit board. So the circuit board has to fit into the cavity, and that's where the problem is. But what's strange about it is everything's plug and play. It came with the switch, it came with the pickup, the input jack. I figured if we're going to replace the potentiometers, we should probably pick up some knobs. So I went ahead and picked up some top hat knobs, just like the one that's in it. So picked these up on Amazon from Music Lily. So as far as the pickup bezels and the springs and the screws, I'm just going to reuse the ones I have. So I believe that's it. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing I did was I went ahead and put down this towel. These guitars are really easy to scratch, and it's really easy to have something laying on your workbench. Even if it's just sand or something, it's really, really easy to get these things scratched. So just to avoid any issues. So the first thing we're going to do is start taking all the old parts out. I'm going to turn it over to get these off. There we go. Now I know, because I installed these silver ones right here are the pickups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these as close to their termination point as I can, because I know for a fact I'm going to reuse these pickups. Okay, so I'm going to cut them at the base right here. These are just little tiny clippers. And I'm going to cut it from right here. Again, I want to keep the wires as long as I can. This is another one, the silver braided one. I don't want to clip any wires other than what I want. This black wire I know is a ground wire. That goes to your bridge and all that kind of stuff. There you go. That's the wiring harness. That way it's all in one piece. And these are just hanging there. So taking this stuff out was really easy. Let's test real quick to see how much room we have. Oh, wow. This is way different. Okay. So it probably goes like this. Well, that's different. That's a lot different. Okay. So I need more room this way. I think I need to make room right here. Right here. Okay, so let's bust out the calipers. Okay. My old potentiometer is 7.86. That's about what John said he got on his. My new one is 9.37, which is, I think John said he got 11 on his, so he must have a different kind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bust out my drill bits, and I'm going to see if I have one that's as close to 9.37 as possible. All right, this one is 9.14, but remember we have that round file too. So let's go ahead and drill out these holes. This is the scary part, and see if we can make these holes big enough for these pots to come through. I think that might be why I'm having issues fitting it. So that's right there, that's right there, that's right there, and that's right there. They're all pushing. So, one thing John did that I really liked, and I thought was a good idea, is he went ahead and got tape, and he put the tape next to the hole and made a mark where he needs to file. And I really like that idea. I think it's a good idea. So, I'm just documenting where it's touching. This one, the pot's right here. And on this one, the pot is down here. Now, one thing we also need to consider is we need to consider the size of our knobs. And we need to consider the size of the washers that are going to go over these holes, right? Because we can't go bigger than the washer, because then the circuit board will fall out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm also going to trace This is as wide as I can go. I don't want to go any wider than that. As soon as we start hitting that wide, then we're risking having the pot fall out. So if that's the case, we're gonna have to think of something else. Or I'm just gonna have to reuse the stock ones. But I'm confident we can figure this out. This is part of the fun, you know? Okay. So now we know how far we can go. Let's get to filing. Some of these holes I don't think are big enough. Okay, so the only one is that one that's kind of sticking. So this is how it's looking right now. We got these through. I could rotate them. So, now that we have that done, this is probably the worst hole. I think we all agree, right? But when you put the knob on it, okay, these knobs are tricky to put on. They're trickier than I thought they'd be. There, once the knob's on, you can't even see it. And it doesn't matter because I'm never getting rid of this guitar. So this guitar will be passed down to my kids or something like that. I'll never get rid of this. I don't even know what model SG this is, to be honest with you. I just realized that I'm putting these things on just any way I want. I don't even know if I'm using the right knobs for what, but we'll fix that later if we have to. All right, so I feel like the potentiometers are done and good. Very nice. So the next thing I think I'm gonna work on is the input jack. So this is the input jack that I got. Now, some of you might be asking, why are you bothering with the input jack and the switch? Well, because this is an actual Gibson input jack and it's plug and play. So I really don't want to deal with, actually that fits without me having to drill anything out, so that makes it easy. I don't want to deal with, so now this is a cool part about this new electronics in it. Everything is labeled. So this will go into, you know what, I have the circuit board in backwards because this won't reach. That's awesome. Good job, Jimmy. Okay. All right. All the potentiometers move. Now, lesson learned. This has to connect to this. So this circuit board does only go in one way. It will not go in the other way. Well, it'll go in, but you ain't gonna have room to plug everything in. So this guitar is set up a little bit differently than John's. John's had the potentiometers way over here, and so he was having issues with this coming through, but I didn't have that issue. So that's interesting. So next thing is the switch. Now, one thing that is slightly disappointing is my switch, my old switch, has the black tip. and this one has the yellow. Now according to, or the white rather, now according to John, these do not fit on the same one. So let's see real quick. Nope, there's no way that's gonna fit. All right, so we're gonna have to go with white. That's fine. I can always order these on Amazon. Now, one issue I may have is room in the cavity. This so you can see it. I'm being rude. One problem I might have is room in here because I didn't realize how wide this was. Oh yeah, I think that'll fit. Okay, so I'm gonna hold it with my finger, roll it over. Nope. It does not appear that that's gonna work. So, that's interesting. So, this is what John used in his video. It's called a knurled, K-N-U-R-L-E-D, a knurled nut for a toggle switch. Fits Les Pauls, blah, blah, blah. So those will arrive tomorrow, so we can continue for now, but it's not gonna be totally done until these parts come in. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in so that we can move forward with stuff. Okay. That kind of worries me a little bit because those are touching part of the circuit board and I really don't want this to short out. So what I may do is I may wrap this with electrical tape just to make sure that it's not touching anything. But it's just going to sit like that for now. Now we can flip the guitar over. And start working on the pickups. Alright, so John was saying that he had to route out some of this, but I'm not convinced. I am going to reuse these bezels because there's nothing wrong with them. There's springs on these, so you got to be careful when you start undoing these. So that's how it allows you to adjust your pickups. So those are the pickup bezels we're going to use. And this is the pickup that's going to go to my daughter. Let's do this other one. There's my two bezels, and this is the other pickup. Again, that's going to my daughter. The Gibson pickups. Now, one thing I was a little concerned about is how do you know which one's the bridge and which one is the nut? Well, I looked it up and it looks like the 490T is the bridge and the 490R is the neck. And I guess the reason behind that is if you look at the pole pieces, they're further apart on the bridge than they are the neck, because I guess the strings are closer together at the neck. That's what I was told. It's like, okay. So yeah. Okay, and I had to double check, and the pole pieces are always away from each other. So you'll have one closest to the bridge, and then you'll have one closest to you'll have one closest to the bridge, you'll have one closest to the neck. So I don't know what that matters. I don't know if it changes tone. I have no clue. Another way you can probably tell which is which is the neck will have a longer set of wires on it. So that would make sense too. But I'm going to put the neck one in first, the R in first. Again, the pole pieces, those are the screws right here. They need to be away from each other. Oh, there we go. We got it. So let's push this through. Stick it in there temporarily like that. we go. First pickup in. It's so funny because these will either go in perfectly the first time or they will fight you every step of the way. I find it easier to kind of squeeze them so that it kind of sits, so that the screw kind of sits into that threaded hole. And put the screwdriver on. The drill makes this easier because then you only have to hit it for a second instead of trying to. You imagine you need like 3 hands to actually use a manual screwdriver on that. So maybe I'm just uncoordinated, which if that's the case, that's probably why I suck at playing guitar. If you ever have trouble with these stripping out, you can go to the hardware store and get longer screws. So if you ever have to do that, feel free. I always put my torque down as low as it'll go on this. One thing you really need to worry about with these Gibson and Epiphones is the headstock. Be careful how you lay this thing down. I have mine on a workbench and the head of it is laying off the workbench. Oops, there go my drill bits. The reason that's a problem is because the headstock is angled, and if you put too much pressure down on the headstock when it's laying flat on your workbench, you can end up breaking the headstock. It's pretty common. Guitars fall over in a live setting, and the headstock snaps. So just be careful, because it's heartbreaking when that happens, because these things are all one piece. Well, they're not really, but that's the way they're constructed. So it's not like a Fender where you can just, you know, get another neck and put it on there. It doesn't work that way. It's not that easy. So that means you take it to a luthier, which is a fancy word for a guitar maker person. And they can, a lot of times they can fabricate a joint, not the illegal kind, so that you can piece it back together. A lot of times you can't even tell. In some cases they can replace the neck altogether. They can replace the neck. See, if you've seen Airplane, you know that reference. All right, again, the pole pieces are away from each other. Now we should be good. There. Not bad. So let me turn off this. I'm going to clean up the workbench a little bit, and then I'll go get my my amplifier, and we'll test it out and see if it works. Okay, as you can see, the guitar's a little bit taken apart again. I was having an issue. Every time I would put it on the neck pickup, I wouldn't get any sound. But when I unplugged the neck and put it into the bridge, I would get sound. So I knew it wasn't the pickup. I took out the switch and I started testing all these wires, and all the wires were correct. So then I started checking from this green wire, which is the ground, to the connector where the neck pickup connects, and I wasn't getting any signal from there. So I took this whole circuit board out and I realized that all this in here is conductive paint. And what was happening was it was touching 2 of these electrodes. Well, the way you coil split, or the way this thing works, is whenever 2 of these touch, it cancels out that pickup. So when you coil split, that's what you're doing. So like when you coil split, you have 4 wires that come off the pickup, like you can see this. You have 4 wires that come off the pickup, 2 for one coil, 2 for the other coil on a humbucker. When you cancel 2 of those out by connecting them, then that one coil is muted, for lack of a better word. Well, that's what was happening to this entire circuit. So I think what I'm going to do, I don't know what else to do. I think what I'm going to do is I might go ahead and put electrical tape on it. That way I don't have to worry about it grounding out again, because that's super annoying. I'd kind of like my guitar to work, so yeah. All right, it's working good now. That was a scary problem to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish out putting these nuts on, and now we'll be ready to move on to the next thing. Again, this is called a knurled nut. If you compare it to the old one, you can see why one works and what doesn't. All right. That sound you're hearing is the sound of my fingers touching the switch. Okay, I just want to test one more thing. This is called a multi-tester. It allows you to test different things, like if I want to see if this goes to this, which it does. All these potentiometers should be grounded. This should be grounded. Oh, that's not good. Okay. Even the conductive paint a lot of times is grounded. This isn't. That's okay. But what I'm curious of is the bridge is supposed to be grounded too. So let's turn the guitar over. So what I should be able to do, power my amp down. So what I should be able to do is touch this and touch this, and you hear the beeping, right? Put this closer. See, that's all grounded. But what I'm curious of, this should be grounded. That's grounded, but these should be grounded, and they're not. All right, so I got everything back in. I went ahead and fixed our grounding issue. The wire had come out of here. So that is done. So now what I have to do is I gotta put strings on it, and then I'll be ready to test it out. Okay, so that about wraps it up for the video. I'm super happy with the way this guitar sounds already. I need to do a full setup on this first before I really you know, go through the motions and try everything, because the action's all off and everything, and just I really want to make sure I set it up correctly before I try it out. These pickups are a weird height as well, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I like the way it sounds already, which is great and awesome. The next video I might do is this behind me. This is a 70-something Flying V. This is a Harmony. I've got a 6-year-old that really wants to play, and I got this one for free. It was in really, really, really bad shape. Found next to a dumpster, that kind of thing. So I went ahead and sanded everything down. I finished the neck with True Oil, and this is painted a navy blue color. Came with gold hardware, but of course, you know how gold hardware is. So that might be my next project, but I'm really happy with this Gibson, or with the Epiphone. And if you guys kind of liked what I did here today, I would appreciate it if you went over to John's video. It's links in the description. Go over to his video and give him a like, because he's the one that kind of got me to do this. I've wanted to do this for a really, really long time. And you know, it's people like John that kind of puts his own guitar on the line just to be able to show somebody how to do something. And I just think that's really cool. So, so yeah, I think that would be appropriate if he got the like instead of me. So, so yeah, I look forward to the next time. And until then, yeah, don't be afraid to work on your guitar. See ya.